All right, well, thanks, Nikki, and thank y'all for joining us. I'm Chris Fournette, the application specialist for Vector Controls and Automation Group. And today we're going to talk about one of my favorite topics, and that's magnetic level gauges. Historically, industry has been using conventional sight glasses. We're starting to see a trend of industry getting away from conventional sight glasses for a variety of different reasons, such as environmental concerns, safety concerns, maintenance, and plugging of the glass to where you can't see what's actually inside the level. There's some distinct advantages with going with magnetic level gauges, and Eric is going to talk about some of those topics. Feel free to ask questions at the end. We'll be more than happy to answer any questions that you might have. With that said, I'm going to turn it over to Eric.
Thank you, Chris. Yeah, my name is Eric Jasic. I've been with PLT for about 12 years now. Just could not be more proud to work for this company and the quality product that it is. And I've worked my way through the ins and outs of the company, and so really got a good hands-on feel for who we are and what we are, and the quality that I can attest to. So I'm going to go through this a little quick. I'll try to not bore you guys too much with magnetic level gauges, but please feel free to raise your hand if you have a question. Just kidding. Write it afterwards, and I'll be happy to address it. And I'm going to just talk a little bit about first what makes us a little bit different than the other manufacturers. I hear quite a bit that you know, a magnetic level gauge is a magnetic level gauge, and they're all the same. Well, we've really taken some strides to differentiate ourselves, but also really improve the product and a lot of the common problems that are associated with magnetic level gauges. A brief history real quick, just to give you a background for those who aren't familiar with PLT. So I'll just sum this up real quick. Wade Donahue is the one that founded it. He designed the mag gauge, but in his previous life, he designed several other gauges on the market and really had a hand in magnetic level gauges as the technology as a whole. He designed the MagTech gauge, currently owned by Emerson. He designed the Jurgensen gauge, currently owned by Cardinal Alliance, that is still using the same technology today, the same design that he designed over 30 years ago. So in starting PLT, he really wanted to make it different. He saw a lot of the common problems that we're having with magnetic level gauges and incorporated these designs into mag gauge, and hence the 7 patents. And our team is just very high quality team with over 150 years of experience and nothing but magnetic level gauges. And his intent with this company was to do one thing and do it the best. And hopefully you'll see a little bit of that and use our gauges. Hopefully you'll certainly see that. So just gonna real quickly talk about the different aspects of the chamber, the float, the indicator, and the different quality benefits that mag gauge has to offer in each component. Simple technology, and you know, but these things have really made a difference in the quality and repeatability of the product. So first, I'll start off with the chamber. PLT standardizes in Schedule 40 pipe. Many manufacturers standardize in Schedule 10. You have to request and specify Schedule 40. Really, with the intent with this whole chamber is out of the box as a standard, a general rule of thumb, we meet most people's piping specifications. Obviously, there's some changes with higher pressure and in unique situations of material, but for the most part, it was designed to meet the toughest piping specifications out of the box as a standard, so nothing has to be added or extra in that sense. So Schedule 10, no Schedule 10, everything is hydro tested. Links are not a problem. We've done up to 130 feet. Everything is TIG welded, a much higher quality weld than, let's say, a MIG weld with the gun, and just a very high quality weld. We're very proud that our welders have not failed an NDE test, an X-ray test on their welds, which is very rare and very impressive. So we're very proud of our welders and the high quality chambers that we put out with that. Obviously, that's very crucial. But the thing that I want to camp out a little bit more on right now, that is growing increasingly popular with magnetic level gauge manufacturers, and same goes with bridles for radars and stuff like that as well, is the extruded tees. PLT does not extrude any connections. This is often advertised as a benefit to the customer because you get a full bore connection. And what this is I'm talking about this piece right here, connecting the process connection to the chamber and how this connects right here. And they advertise it to the end user as a full bore application or connection to where there's no restriction there. PLT does full bores, but we do it the proper way. And here's what I'm talking about. So extruded T is a machine called T-drill that drills a hole into this pipe and draws this collar right here, draws this connection. So essentially they're eliminating this nipple and they're welding the process connection directly to the chamber. The problem is that you're not adding any metal. You're stretching stainless at ambient temperatures. You don't have to be a piping metallurgist guy to understand that that's not a good idea. You're thinning the metal, you're changing the characteristics of the grain of that stainless or whatever the alloy is. Just like wood, it's got grains, and so you're altering those grains, causing weak point. And just stress cracking and corrosion cracking is definitely going to be a potential there. And so PLT is very proud that we do not extrude any connections. If the application deems it necessary, or if you, the customer, would like full bore connections, it's not a problem. We do a casted T with the 2x2 by whatever size connection it is. And that way you get a scheduled 40 throughout connection. And frankly, this is the last spot that you want a weak spot on your chamber, holding up the entire weight of the gauge. And that last picture that you see right there is a result of an extruded connection at a local refinery here. And they're starting to ban these drawn or extruded connections, but it's being more and more utilized in the manufacturing side. All right, moving on to floats. So PLT really takes the time to design the float for each specific application. We don't standardize in a float. There's not a wide range of process conditions that we throw our float in. Each float is 100% custom made to the process conditions of your application. The thing that I really want to hone in here is the pressurized floats, because that is oftentimes a common source of problems with magnetic level gauges. Pressurized floats, I have one right here, are used to reduce the weight of the float, but also have that pressure, that internal support to not crush under the pressures of the application. So you're battling weight versus buoyancy. Manufacturers will take support rings out of the float and they'll pressurize it. That will reduce the weight of the float. They'll pressurize the float to give it that internal structure that it needs to not crush, and they'll clamp it and put a little weld bead right there. So the float's light enough to handle a lower specific gravity and strong enough to handle any higher pressure. The problem is that over time that pressure is eventually going to leak. It's not a matter of if, it's just when. You know, I've seen it every 6 months. Sometimes it lasts a couple of years. But the main takeaway point is that it's a limited life float. Eventually, that float is going to crush or sink, leaving you, the end user, having to replace floats over the lifetime of the gauge, increasing the cost of the gauge, and just the headache and maintenance with it. And also, it causes a lot of operators to not trust magnetic level gauges because of that, and rightfully so. The big thing is that PLT does not pressurize any floats. Our floats are designed to last the lifetime of the gauge. That is why one of the patents is the carbon fiber float. You can go down to a 0.3 specific gravity and up to 4,000 PSI without using a pressurized float. These are for the same process conditions. Obviously, they're smaller. The carbon fiber float is smaller as well, but not pressurized. So we're able to handle these low specific gravities with a float that is designed to last the lifetime of the gauge. Now, the carbon fiber isn't our standard float. We start with the stainless, the titanium, and work our way from there. The main takeaway from here is that when other manufacturers are going to be using pressurized floats, PLT is going to be using a carbon fiber float. Just another way that we've made the gauges more reliable. All right, indicators. So this is by far the most common complaint about magnetic level gauges. I hear it all the time across the country. And many operators, frankly, don't trust them because of this as well. And again, I can't blame them. If you can't trust your indicator, you don't trust your instrument. You can't trust what's in there. So in an effort of time, I'm going to go through this really quickly, but here's what I'm talking about. You see the other gauge on the other side. Sorry, I don't know what side that is for you guys, but you see the checkerboarding effect, the skipping, the fouling of the indicator. The operator can't tell where the level's at. You have to go out there with the magnet, fix the flippers, figure out where the float's at. So we really wanted to eliminate that problem. And so what he did is he patented a solid one-piece design. The entire flipper is a magnet. So not only does it have a much stronger connection to that float inside of there, but the neat thing is that each one of these interlock with each other. So if you were to take one of these and flip it to yellow and let go, it would immediately turn back to black because the magnetic poles are interlocked with each other. You can't forget, can't confuse this. And hopefully if I get to see you in person again sometime soon, you're more than welcome to try the demo yourself and see the reliability of it. In an effort of time, I won't go too much into it, but these are the common other flippers, a plastic design. Obviously UV rays and heavy vibrations take a toll on that. The other design is two-piece stamped aluminum with a small button magnet inside with environmental temperatures that expands, contracts, and those two pieces start to come apart. And that causes a lot of fouling of the indicator as well. And we also have a Y design just for better visibility, which can save a flight of stairs or even save a trip into the actual unit when you can verify your level from 300 feet away. Transmitter, this is our transmitter. Real quick, it's magnetostrictive HART protocol. There's pros and cons to every instrument, but to me, some of the main pros and takeaways for this instrument is that it's on the outside of the process, it's non-intrusive. If you want to add or take away, you don't have to access your tank, you don't have to shut down your vessel, you don't even have to isolate this chamber. Strap it on, take it off, whatever you need to do. It comes pre-calibrated from the factory. There's no mapping, there's no hooking up with a laptop. It comes calibrated and ready to go. Any adjustments can be easily done from the head in a matter of seconds. Very, very user-friendly. The con is that it is dependent on the float. So I'm always like to be honest with customers. If redundancy and accuracy is the most essential thing, then I highly recommend going with a radar, which is why we partner with Vector and E&H. And you'll see some of those combinations up here. But if budget and user friendliness, or if there's potential coding or buildup inside the process, this is a great transmitter. Or if you just want to verify that your 4 to 20 from another source or radar is working, it's a great thing to add as well, and it can be added to existing magnetic level gauges as well. Same design here with the switches. Again, these are our switches. They are non-intrusive to the process. And to me, the biggest benefit of these besides that is that they're field adjustable. There is not too many switches in my knowledge that you can adjust in the field. With a flathead screwdriver, you can loosen these clamps and move that point alarm, that valve, turn it off earlier. In just a matter of seconds, you can fine tune it exactly where you need it. Whereas most are tapped into the tank. Complete level control. I want to point this out and hone in on this because I hear it a lot that magnetic level gauges are only typically associated with just your visual indication, but it's so not true. It can be very much complete level control, and again, the benefit being off of two process connections. Obviously, if redundancy and independence is an issue, we can you utilize more taps on the tank, but the point is being able to have that complete level control just off of 2 vessel connections. And obviously with the benefits of everything in this configuration being non-intrusive to the process. So I'm going to go through really quickly just some customization and what we find solutions to a lot of problems. And the takeaway here is not only just the different configurations and ways that you can customize a magnetic level gauge, but also how can I apply this to my tough applications, because I hear this quite a bit that, oh, that's not a good application for a magnetic level gauge, and that is not true either. If it's a liquid, we can do it. You know, we've done some of the most difficult things that everybody in the world has no-bidded, and we've found solutions and ways to do it successfully. So please come to us with your problem childs, things that you would normally say are not good for a magnetic level gauge, but then also keep these options in mind as well, which we would be happy to suggest for you. So here is the guide rods. This is an overview looking in. You got a 2-inch float with inside a 2.5-inch chamber. This is not a new design, but we're utilizing it more for viscous or process that is potential to build up. Just gives a lot more room in that chamber for that float to move freely and any particulate to not bind that float inside of there. We've had really great success at that. It was initially designed for flashing and boiling processes, but we've been using it as an anti-buildup chamber as well. Magnetic particles, not a problem. Typically see this on boiler water, feed water, steam applications where you have carbon steel or iron lines. And this would basically bolt up right here to the process connection and the tank connection, and essentially would filter out any magnetic particles and not allow them to go into the chamber, which would obviously, those magnetic particles would start to build up on the top of the float where the magnets are and cause it to bind up. So this just makes it very much, it doesn't foul up your indicator, your transmitter, or any other accessories, and just very easy to clean instead of having to steam this whole thing down. You pull the bull plug, clean the trap out, and put it back, and you're back in action. Just really does an excellent job in preventing that kind of maintenance or fouling. Top mounts, a lot of customers don't realize that we can do a top mount. This is especially popular with sump tanks down in the ground. Everything is on top. I won't get into the nitty-gritty of it in an effort of time, but you kind of see the basics there, and everything is on top, non-intrusive, your point switches or your transmitter, whatever you need. Kynar or CPVC, this is great for caustic applications, your plastic tanks, your fiberglass tanks. A lot of customers do not realize that we can do entire gauges out of these plastics, and obviously very corrosion resistant, but also still very durable. We do Schedule 80 pipe. Right now in our factory, we have 4 25-foot CPVC gauges. So length is not a problem as well. Plenty of support brackets and all that good stuff, but keep that in mind for your caustic applications. Interface. Magnetic level gauges, I will try to do this quick, but magnetic level gauges are great for interface applications. In fact, I would argue that in some cases with electronic transmitters, it's even better because we can physically dial this float into a 0.01 difference of specific gravities. You're not relying on electrical pulse, you're relying on physics, and we've got it nailed down to where it's going to sink through that top layer no matter what it is and land on that lower level. Obviously you got this configuration as well where you have one side lower and then you have the other side upper, but there's many different ways that we can configure this. The bottom line is, hey, off of a single set of taps we can have complete interface control, lower, upper. We can read through that emulsion layer if it's nasty or has a big emulsion layer, 4 to 20, whatever you need for that. This is another configuration that we've been doing a lot of. It's great for overall level because it's a little bit more compact, but we've been doing it for interface as well. What it is obviously a free space probeless radar on top of a magnetic level gauge. Nothing fancy, but the neat thing about this is that it's still independent of each other, because when we use a dome top or standard floats, that pulse goes around the top of this float and still picks up that liquid right there. So there's no calibration. It's still independent of each other because it's reading the liquid. Something were to happen to the float, you still have your 4 to 20 reading that liquid. We do make better floats though, so don't be scared about that. But the neat thing is that we can tune this float to be the lower level, and you have your free space on top reading the upper level, and then you can even add the magneto-restrictive, which is reading the interface as well, all in one chamber. Different customizations. I mean, if you can dream it up and it's physically possible, we can do this. This is becoming more and more popular for seal rated stuff and just redundancy. The nice thing about these designs is that you can isolate each chamber and have the ability to test or do maintenance on any given instrument at any time and still have 2 running. And same with the next design as well. This is one that we did for a local refinery here. The double isolation valves for double block and bleed, which we can do all in one valve now. And just having the 2 4 to 20 transmitters to check itself. So I'll try to be brief with this, but this has been a really amazing advancement with PLT. We're the only manufacturer to do this, and obviously you're not going to be able to read this, but hopefully you'll be able to see it on there. NST is not a coating, it's a treatment. We treat all wetted parts, including the float, and what it does is it alters the surface tension or energy of the stainless so that nothing on a molecular level can build up on it. It's pretty amazing stuff. We've had some great successes with it. It's done in-house, doesn't change the delivery times. Very, very low cost effective compared to Teflon coating, but will never chip, never come off in your process. It's permanently bonded to that stainless or whatever alloy we're using. We've done some amazing success stories that I would love to share with you another day, but please keep that in mind for a process that could potentially build up. Does not have to be crude or paraffins. It can be a lot more. All right, so last thing I want to really hone in on is our customer service. This is, we got a lot of great benefits to our product, but this is probably by far our customer's favorite and where we really shine. Standard delivery time is 3 to 4 weeks. We have the ability to deliver whole gauges. We've delivered Hasloway gauges in 48 hours. We've delivered whole gauges in 24 hours. And same goes with parts. You need a new float, a forklift bumped into an indicator, you need to add a switch. It is not a problem to deliver those down to 24 hours. Standard delivery time for parts and stuff is a couple days, but when you need it, we can be your source you can trust to take care of you. The other benefit is with every quote, excuse me, we really strive to get it out in 48 hours unless it's an exotic material or a bigger project. But you'll get your quote in about 48 hours, and you'll get a certified dimensional CAD drawing with that quote. So you know exactly what you're getting. You don't have to wait to issue your purchase order, wait another 2 weeks to get a drawing, only to find out that there's something wrong with that drawing. There's a dimension off. You send it back, have to get a revision again, and you're 6 weeks down the road. Meanwhile, PLT is already delivered. I hear it all the time. And so it just helps speed up everything, but also eliminates any confusion right off the bat. You know exactly what you're getting. You're just not just looking at a part number. And lastly, we're just extremely easy to deal with, especially with challenging applications. Please, again, give us your problem childs that you wouldn't normally trust for magnetic level gauges. We're doing it all the time in the local chemical plants and refineries, and that's really how we've built a trust and a base with our customers. So we're very easy with problem solving and just any kind of issue. We want to take care of you as soon as possible and not make excuses, but know that we can just get you up and running as fast as possible. Last thing, is we're local. We make everything in League City. We have 100% control of our product and the quality and the delivery time. Nothing is farmed out, and we're local. I deliver parts personally myself, hot shot them in my truck all the time, and we'll be happy to come take a look at your applications as well. And you're more than welcome to come to our shop and see the facility, even check on a project that you have in the works, make sure everything's good. So please reach out to us for any help, and you're more than welcome to come on by. Appreciate you guys' time.
All right, thank you, Eric. I just wanted to mention one thing real quick. It appears now that we have a glare on this glass right here. So I just wanted to show real quick, because sometimes in some of the videos that he was doing, it appeared that it was stuck, and it's not stuck. It's just the glare from the lighting. So I guess at this point now, we will open the floor up for questions. Nikki, can you tell us if we have any questions so far?
We do have some questions. I'll start off with the first one here. And it is, what do you recommend for a steam drum of 2000 PSIG and a 650 OF?
It's not a problem to handle that. That's definitely a difficult application, but we could certainly handle that. Obviously, you got to probably adhere to the boiler code, the side class, but you know, a lot of those examples were on steam drums. You know, the mag trap, the dual chamber with the ability to isolate any instrument. You know, those are definitely certainly high recommendations because it is such a critical application. But as far as the operating pressure and temperature, it's not a problem.
Okay, great. Next question. Can PLT retrofit existing gauges?
I get that question a lot, and yes, we absolutely can. Is it our favorite thing to do? No. You know, I will say when you replace the entire chamber, you get a 5-year warranty and a lifetime on the chamber, and so you can have that extra peace of mind. But certainly we call it a retrofit kit, and we replace the indicator and the flow, and that's the heart of a magnetic level gauge, and so we can get you up and running. And again, quick delivery times to get you up and running.
Great. Next question. What applications are maybe not good for a mag gauge?
You know, there is a few. You know, anything if it's obviously leans more towards the gas with a 0.3 specific gravity or lower, or if it's more towards the solid, that's certainly not a good thing. But you'd be surprised. PLT has done some very tough applications. Molten sulfur, liquid asphalt, obviously with the paraffins, the epoxy resin down in Dow, Freeport. That was with the NST, a very good success story. We're the only ones that have magnetic level gauges on the Gulf of Mexico, 3,000 feet, or the Gulf of Mexico floor, 3,000 feet down. So you'd be surprised what we can do. So just talk with us, and we'll tell you if it's not a good application for a magnetic level gauge.
Okay, great. Next question. Can you measure interface level with a magnetic level gauge?
Yes, I highlighted that. If not, again, we can do it very accurately down to a 0.01 difference in the specific gravities. And it's just physics. It's dialing this float into where it's physically too heavy to float on that top layer, and it has to stop on that lower level, obviously being buoyant enough to float on the heavier specific gravity. It's a great way to measure interface, and it's a great way to get around that emulsion layer problem, because that emulsion layer is going to be a mixture. Therefore, it's going to be a little bit lighter than what that lower is, and we'll allow that float to sink through that emulsion layer and read on that solid lower level.
Okay, great. Next one. Does PLT provide application walkdown or site surveys?
Oh man, that's one of my favorite things to do. I genuinely enjoy it. Me and Chris have done it together. I do it on well, not in the last couple months, but I do it on a regular basis with Vector, and we love to partner up with that. I can almost guarantee that either between Vector and PLT, we can have somebody out there for you. And we'll even do an additional thing if that you have quite a few, let's say, site classes that you want to replace with magnetic level gauges. We'll do an entire site or unit walk down where we can take all the measurements, provide a project minder with your quote, your drawings, attach your tag number in that spec sheet. So you have it all separated and matched up to each one of your applications based on tag numbers. So yes, please invite us out. No matter where your location is, we can make it happen.
Okay, next question. This one's for Chris. What other level technologies does Vector carry that can pair with PLT?
We carry guided wave radar. We very much like to, if the opportunity is there, to partner up with PLT and basically do what we call a dual chamber configuration. And you'll have a PLT chamber just like this, and a chamber just off the side of it to put a guided wave radar.
That's definitely the Cadillac.
Yeah, that's kind of our Christmas wish list. If we could give that to a customer, that would be our preferred solution. It gives you availability. It gives the availability of having a visual in the field, and the chamber for the guided wave radar can be isolatable different than this one. So you can isolate one or the other at any time, and it keeps you from from interrupting your actual process.
Okay, great.
I'm sorry, add just a little bit more to that. We can do tuning forks on the side. We can do access points for DP transmitters. These are 100% custom made. So again, if you can dream it up, if there's a requirement, it is not a problem to adhere to that or to accommodate different configurations of level control.
Okay, super. Next question. What is PLT's warranty?
I said just a minute ago, but five-year warranty, and that comes on the complete package and then a lifetime with the chamber. But we're not sticklers with the warranty, honestly. You'd be supremely surprised at how easy we are to work with on warranty issues, and we kind of really do try to bend over backwards to just make the problem go away as soon as possible and get you up and running.
Okay, next question we have. Does Vector offer any type of training on this technology?
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. We'll do in-house training. We have some actual training modules on our Vector U that pertains to the mag gauges, and we we also have a little mag gauge here on our process training unit here in our just here in the office. And yes, we do give some training on it.
Okay, what is this Vector U you speak of?
So we have a Vector University, we call it just Vector U for short. On our website, you can click on it and it gives a whole list of our training opportunities. We do everything from basic instrumentation to product specific to industry specific. We have a whole list of different training class options to pick from.
And would you recommend this technology for sumps?
Yes.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We've done some very rough sumps that have just anything you can imagine. I won't get into details. And for some reason, South America loves these for sumps on the top mount piece. And if there's a lot of particulate in that sump or fear of buildup, we can make, because that float down in the actual sump is not restricted to size. I mean, we can make it as buoyant as we need to push through whatever we need, and give you an accurate reflection up here. So yes, it's 100% a great application for sumps. And again, all your controls and everything are up on the top.
Okay, great. Well, that looks to be all of our questions that have come through. So I just want to thank everyone for joining us, and we trust that it's been a worthwhile experience for you. You've learned from our experts, both Eric and Chris, and you have some valuable takeaways. So have a great rest of the day. Chris and Eric, do you have any closing comments?
Thank you for joining.
Yeah, thank you for your time. Please let us know if we can help you.